Chapter 56. I don't want you to have a boyfriend. Lisa sought to dodge him again, but she vividly felt one of his hands push her towards the wall and crush her against the ice-cold surface. James's powerful bulk leaned against her, and one of his hands had already slid in from below. The second their flesh met, Lisa felt the tremendous heat of his hand. Her body began to tremble like a sieve. She felt his callous fingertips skim across her skin, leaving her with ripples of shudders in their wake. More than half the length of her garments had been pushed up. His palm moved upwards and traced the contours of her body. But then, they heard a phone ringing. James removed his lips from hers, with his breathing quick and erratic. His eyes darted away as he listened to the sound. He softly swore at this aggravating sound. The taste of her body still remained on his lips. He licked his lips softly, and rather regretfully. He did not feel an ounce of revulsion. Instead, it made him feel a sense of profound desire. Lisa's eyes were watery. Her cheeks were flushed with areas of scarlet that looked just right. He let go of her. His hand was still heated, and when he took it out, there was a light sheen of sweat on his palm. After staring at Lisa, he quickly turned his head around and grabbed his phone swiftly. It was a call from Ryan's general secretary. James accepted the call. What's up? Second young master, we were just notified that a woman did indeed bargain. Does second young master know this person? Yes, her name is Emily. It's definitely her. Second young master, don't worry, she has already been sent back on Mr. President's directions. Everything should be okay now. That's good. Thank you. Second young master, you don't need to stick to formalities with me. Mr. President offers his greetings to you and young madam. Mr. President will return to the Carter mansion in the following several days. He hopes to meet young madam. Is that so? All right. He'll have the chance to meet her. He smiled weakly and raised his head to look at Lisa, who was standing at the side with her clothes still fully disordered. He put down his phone, glanced at Lisa, and stated, "Your manager is fine now." Lisa gazed at him. Any trace of anything that had happened before could not be seen on his face at all. It was as if nothing had happened. He was still speaking to her as he stared at her with a crystal-clear gaze. However, she could still recollect the very clear ripples of feeling that he had left on her body earlier. Her rage was overpowering, and she truly wanted to cast all concerns aside and murder him with a stomp of her foot. She shouted at James, "Get out, stinking rogue!" Before James had even recognized this, Lisa was already walking towards him in huge leaps. She rained punches down on his body one after another. Although it did not hurt, it was nevertheless unpleasant. James could only retreat continually while watching at her going insane. Even though he could easily hold down her thin and fragile body, he did not do so. He allowed himself to be forced outside like way. James said, "Lisa, what are you doing?" He grasped her wrist and glanced at her boiling hot cheeks. Lisa gazed at him with angry contempt. "Rogue? Get out, rogue." His brow quickly wrinkled. "You're my wife, so everything I did is completely legal, right?" Lisa was honestly a little speechless. James frowned and continued, "So, how are you going to look for a boyfriend now? Lie and declare that you're not married." Lisa was only contemplating it. She had not put it into effect at all yet. But how could she say this now? James glanced at her with dark, hooded eyes. He said seriously, "I won't permit you to find a boyfriend now." Lisa's heart jolted. What did he intend by this? James gazed at her, his dark and dismal look provided a deep sparkle. "So you'd best give up on this thought." Lisa still wanted to say something, but James abruptly drew closer again. "If you must give it a try, I advise you not to try provoking me again." The lines of his harsh, hard jaw were pushed taut. When he came closer to her, a sense of authority formed spontaneously, instantaneously causing Lisa to be on edge and her heart to vigorously thump in her chest. With her eyes darting everywhere, Lisa immediately pushed him out with all her effort. "Don't think you can come in again and behave like a hoodlum." HMPH. Saying this, she shut the door with a crash. Just like that, James was shut outside. He gazed at the tightly closed bedroom door and pulled in a big breath. He was being shut outside the bedroom by his own wife. "Lisa, just you wait." James hissed softly at the door. When he saw a maid pass by from the side, he put on a poker face and headed towards the guest bedroom, mentally preparing to just put up with it for one night. Lisa laid on the bed, still feeling an intolerable heat in her face. She tossed and turned but could not sleep. Meanwhile, in the other room, while James had slept on the sofa for so long, and only now with great difficulty did he get to sleep. On the bed, he felt a minor soreness all over his body, because Lisa stayed in the bedroom. There was always a mild aroma lingering vaguely in the bedroom air. It seemed to be the perfume emanating from her body, but it was also like the scent of any other girl. On the other hand, there was simply the clean and fresh smell of the cleansed blankets in here. Although it did not smell horrible, it nevertheless made him feel uncomfortable. When he raised his head and automatically wanted to go and have a look at the woman, with an unusually bad sleeping posture, he could only see the wall. He slightly felt a little unused to the setting. He lay there for God knows how long before finally falling asleep. The next day, following the finish of filming for the television series, Lisa had to travel to the corporation for a meeting to confirm her future plans. Lisa came at the office bright and early. She observed Emily, with a dispirited expression on her face, and hastily came over to ask, "Emily, what did you do yesterday? You suddenly disappeared halfway." A twinge of humiliation rushed across Emily's face. She lifted her head and replied, "I drank a bit too much." Lisa added, "I got some people to go over and ask around. They said that you barged into Mr. President's restricted area. Was everything fine?" Emily gathered up her own hair as she replied, "When I went there, Mr. President had obviously not arrived. I don't know how it became a restricted area. Subsequently, luckily, nothing much happened, and they subsequently sent me back home." "Is that so? That's pretty great. It looks like Mr. President is quite a good person," Lisa said. Emily shrugged her shoulders non-committally. However, she appeared more or less a little tired out. Lisa stated, "Coming up next are probably the publicity events." Emily answered, "Yes. They're rushing to broadcast a television series during the summer holidays. Although filming had completed, the actual busy period would arrive after this. You must be prepared." Chapter 57. This last is so like a breviary. Soon after the first promotional event was launched, Nathan attended the event together with Lisa. At the gathering, Lisa spotted from afar that Olivia had come along as well. She walked towards them with huge strides. A queue of aides and staff followed after her, giving her an authoritative atmosphere. Lisa now sat in the communal dressing room. When she momentarily spotted Olivia, she could not help but question, "She's not doing her makeup. Why did she leave?" The makeup artist looked at Olivia, who had walked past, and smiled. She said, "She's going to the private dressing room. She has a specialized personal makeup artist to perform her makeup. Why would she need us?" Oh, Lisa finally understood. She was a celebrity, of course. She was different from them. The new and undiscovered artist stopped behind her. The other unknown actors accompanying her murmured in a disappointed tone, "She's not that famous either. But what are her treatment and overpowering aura akin to Sarah's?" The makeup artist sculpted Lisa's face while stating, "After all, Olivia is different. Her familial heritage is clear, and she's also the Ryan family's prospective young madam. She doesn't lack money, so of course she has an amazing air about her." Lisa thought that it was quite humorous. She and Olivia were clearly both members of the same family, but everyone did not know. The family had continually avoided exposing Lisa's status as an illegitimate daughter. Lisa was likewise highly dispensable in the family, and was even a disliked character. Thus, she could understand why everyone did not know her family background. Luckily, Lisa did not care at all either. It was to the point where it would be much more excruciating to her if she and Olivia were to engage in advertising with the label of sister slapped on them. Lisa felt at ease as she performed her cosmetics and simultaneously surfed on her Weibo account. The first batch of advertising photographs for the television series had already been released. Everyone's character posters have been nicely captured and uploaded on numerous news sites and Weibo pages for advertisement. Lisa saw the comments below. Some folks were indeed neutral. They glanced at Lisa's character poster and believed that she was really gorgeous. But there were some who were forced to be spiteful. They commented straight at the bottom, "She looks horribly ugly." Or, they stated things like, "She doesn't fit the character's image at all. That nose is obviously fake. At which hospital did she extend her eye corners? Why does it look precisely the same as that person? It's presumably from The same doctor. Seeing these comments, Lisa's blood began to boil. With her phone in her hand, she murmured gloomily, "How can they say that I had plastic surgery? I'm obviously all natural." She raised her head to ask the makeup artist, "Do I look like I had plastic surgery?" "Yours truly does desire to get plastic surgery, but first I need to have money too. Yours truly received a role for the first time. How can I obtain money to get surgery?" The makeup artist fell out laughing immediately, believing that this Lisa was incredibly humorous. Hannah sat at the side, eating something and waiting for her to apply her cosmetics. "All right. Which rookie debuts without first being scolded? Furthermore, plastic surgery is so easy to get nowadays. But I simply can't see folks thinking that nose of yours is phony. It's so flat that if you actually spent money to do surgery on it, then the hospital skill was a little too poor." Lisa turned her head and whimpered, "It's not that flat either." Hannah could not be bothered with her and said to the makeup artist, "Contour her nose a little more. It's too flat, it's so ugly." Just when everyone was having a good time, Nathan was pulled to the dressing room by the joyous laughing here. "What's happening here?" Nathan asked someone. "It's Lisa," the manager reacted and added, "She chatters everywhere. She goes. She's pretty excellent at it too. She can create good relations with anyone. She's simple-minded, but her personality is really not horrible. It's easy for everyone to like conversing with her, and she doesn't act pompous at all either." Nathan grinned and looked towards her direction. He gazed at Lisa intently before likewise walking over in a few steps. "Hey, what are you so happy chatting about?" Nathan stated. A few makeup artists and minor actors all spaced out slightly. As Nathan came, however, they saw that Nathan seemed to be in a good mood. He sat down directly, and they also consequently grew more at ease. Nathan gazed at Lisa. "I heard you laughing from so far away. Your voice is incredibly loud." After progressively getting comfortable with Nathan, Lisa actually did not feel that he was as tough to get along with as everyone suggested. Instead, he wasn't particularly pretentious, so she began to become more informal when conversing with him as well. "You don't like the noise. If you dislike it, then go to the private dressing room over there. Why would such a prominent person run over here to gather together with us? Hey, how can you not even welcome me? Didn't you see everyone else ushering me in with drums and gongs?" The remaining folks all looked at the two of them chatting together like this and could not help but be a little stunned. Who mentioned that Nathan did not like speaking with the other actors in the cast? Obviously, he was quite pleasant, but even the folks who knew this were really startled. They realized that Nathan's relationship with Lisa was truly not horrible, otherwise they would not have as much fun chatting. The moment Olivia came out, she noticed the two of them in the middle, surrounded by others. She did not know what they were conversing about that made the entire shared dressing room appear to be in an unusually joyous mood, complete with joyful laughter and cheery chatter. Olivia snorted disdainfully. "This Lisa is so flirtatious." Beside her, a little helper said, "Not everyone has a natural advantage like Sister Olivia. She doesn't have money or influence, or even a solid family history, much less a wealthy and gorgeous fiancé like Ryan. Of all, she can only depend on her skill to charm men in order to advance up the social ladder." Hearing the assistant say this, Olivia felt much more rejuvenated. "Precisely. I can't even be bothered to create excellent friendships with these strange people. Were they even worthy of her?" But watching Nathan have such a good relationship with her, Olivia did actually feel painfully jealous. Very soon, they were starting to make plans for the interview at the front, but unexpectedly when Nathan went for his interview, he took Lisa along with him too. Lisa was originally a little apprehensive, but the reporters were also really thrilled and instantly encouraged the two of them to accept the interview together. Lisa stood beside Nathan, looking at the several reporters and circling them with microphones lined up in a row, one after another in front of her. She felt incredibly complex. During the few months preceding this, she had never dreamed that she would one day stand in the limelight and be questioned, but in the small period of a few months, her world had already suffered an earth-shattering change. However, the reporters below were hostile. One of them stared at Lisa and came up directly to ask Lisa, "How do you feel about being put together as a couple with Nathan in the past?" Lisa did not expect a reporter to be so forthright. In that time, she was unable to answer. However, beside her, Nathan promptly took the microphone and exclaimed, "She definitely feels that it was great. After all, it's really an honor to be involved in gossip with a lovely guy like me." Lisa raised her head graciously. Nathan smiled a consoling look at her as if he was suggesting that she could rely on him for everything. The reporter continued, "Lisa, did you two meet privately again?" Nathan took the microphone again and said, "How can we meet, thanks to all of you? We can't even meet at amicable events. I made a friend after so enormous difficulty. You guys should stop adding to my troubles." In an instant, everyone started howling with amusement at being reprimanded by Nathan. Chapter 58. Ryan was angry at the reporter appeared. This Nathan was truly protecting Lisa. The reporter went to Lisa. "Lisa just began filming, and she has already gotten to know such a good senior. Isn't she lucky?" Nathan could not possibly distract this topic as successfully. Lisa smiled and hastily answered, "Yes, Senior Nathan has been really friendly to me. He shared with me a lot of his performing experiences." Nathan responded, "How are you going to repay me, then? Huh? Repay?" Lisa did not expect him to divert the topic yet again. "How can I repay you?" Nathan said. "Shouldn't you treat me to a good meal?" The reporter at the side was going crazy. "You two are going to eat together. She should treat me to a meal, obviously." The reporter stepped closer to them. Lisa desperately wanted to crush Nathan, but on the surface she could only bring herself to answer, "Yes, of course, it'll be my treat." Nathan laughed. "Forget it. Your wage is too low. If you treat me, you're going to wind up eating grass." "I'm simply joking with you, dumb girl. You don't have to agree to everything." Lisa's face plummeted. The reporter laughed along. The interview finally finished. Lisa climbed down as Nathan touched her shoulder and grinned as he added, "You're still such a newbie. Keep working hard." Lisa thought to herself privately, "If it was not for your interfering, I may have done even better." However, Olivia soon joined them. She grinned and said to Lisa, "Not a bad performance. Nathan truly took care of you today, conversing so much with you and even laughing with you." Lisa asked, "Was he not supposed to make jokes with me?" "Of course he's allowed to. However, Nathan has never been so lighthearted around a fellow actress. He's usually a lot better with males, and he would completely neglect women. That's why people suspected that he was gay." The very following day after the interview, Lisa did not expect to find herself in the headlines with Nathan yet again. This time, with Nathan's protection, the news had all praise for her. On the other side, Sarah read the report on herself and felt outraged. There was a gigantic photo of Nathan and Lisa, whereas a picture of her covered only a little corner. She even went all out to wear an expensive, branded skirt so that she might be as dazzling as possible. However, Lisa's name was so large now, and the story merely carelessly inserted a paragraph saying that Sarah was also appearing in the play. That was it. Sarah was hopping angry from the table. She forcefully hurled the newspaper onto the floor beside her. Emily also did not anticipate things to turn out like that. She said, "What the hell is going on? To think that Lisa had this much power." Seeing how her daughter was compromised in the story, Emily was also outraged. "Lisa must be deliberately outcasting you." Sarah's face was blood red with wrath. "Lisa, just you wait." HMPH. Meanwhile, in the Ryan residence, Lisa unexpectedly sneezed. One of the maids hastily ran over to her. "Madam, what happened? Is the air conditioning too cold?" "Nothing, nothing." Lisa grinned as she got up with the newspaper in her hand. Ryan had just returned home. Looking at him gleefully, she remarked, "I'm in the headlines for the show's promotions." Ryan spotted her grinning hugely. He walked over to her and took the newspaper just to see the picture of her and Nathan together. Lisa continued, "I never thought I'd see the day when I get to be in the headlines." Ryan clenched the newspaper and gently murmured, "It's not like this is your first time." Lisa realized Ryan was alluding to the rumors previously. "That's completely different. That was a hearsay. This time, it's due of my work. I'm in the headlines now as an actor, of course. It's different." Ryan lifted his head. "It looks like Nathan took great care of you." Upon hearing Ryan, Lisa nodded excitedly. Yes, Nathan took really good care of me. Olivia told me that he's typically not as helpful. Who knew that he could genuinely be nice? Also, he was extremely skilled and knowledgeable in handling interviews. No questions fazed him. I never realized that he was not only superb at acting but also adept at dealing reporters. No surprise he's so famous. Ryan's face soon went green. Lisa did not notice and continued bouncing around in delight, admiration all over her face. Ryan got up and flung the newspaper onto the table. Hey, why did you throw my newspaper? Lisa looked up sadly. Ryan paused in his stride and ordered the maid, from tomorrow, cancel the subscription of pointless entertainment news like this. Yes, sir. What? Lisa stood forward. Ryan. Why not? Ryan said without turning. I don't like you being flirtatious. Lisa's face grew black. Ryan, you're biased. Acting is not flirty, it's an art. You know nothing about it. Ryan huffed and turned around. His dark pupils were evident in his chilly eyes. He responded coolly. Art is also a form of selling your asterisk. Lisa became green. Capitalist, money grubber, short-tempered. Uneducated, uncultured swine, your whole body stinks of copper. The edges of Ryan's mouth curved up. He chuckled viciously and shot her down. Don't forget that you're eating and using my stinky copper. Lisa stared shocked as Ryan beckoned an Ethan with a wave of his hand. Ryan said bluntly, collect all the entertainment news. Those filthy junk papers confuse the youth. Keeping them around will only generate complications. Once you're done, replace them with economic news. Yes, sir. Ethan peered at Ryan's rigid expression and then squinted at Lisa before softly disappearing. Lisa's fingers were shaking as she pointed at Ryan. You're too overbearing. Ryan scoffed coldly. With great strides, he went in, looking at Ryan's frigid back. Lisa sat down angrily. Her nose flared as she gazed at the newspaper that had been dropped on the floor. That damned Ryan. He really called her flirty and accused her of manipulating the youth. Actors were indeed often misinterpreted, especially by capitalists like him, who believed that they were not contributing anything meaningful. Yes, actresses may be overhyped, and she had been offended by many people previously. However, she did not expect Ryan to think that way. This person was genuinely wicked to the core. Chapter 59. He really left home at night. Lisa returned to her room and closed the door. She was not going to let James in. She waited for a bit, but there was no sound. Quietly, she opened the door and heard James, who appeared to be on the phone. Emily, what's wrong? Upon hearing Emily's name, Lisa was curious and started eavesdropping. James was clutching his phone and listened to Emily whine. James, I quarreled with my family. I have nowhere to go now. Can you let me remain at your apartment for a few days? James thought hard. Why did you quarrel with your family? It was because of forget it. Anyway, I have no place to go now. My mother and father even confiscated my credit cards, okay? I'll arrange a place for you and go over to find you, okay? I'll be waiting. James stood there. As he made some plans, he flexed his wrists and called Ryan. Prepare the villa at the bay. Emily needs a place to stay. I'm heading over to her now. Yes, sir. Ryan recognized James's stern expression and dared not speak another thing. As he retreated, he caught a glance of Lisa and could not help but sympathize with her. James's rage was certainly something that not everybody could handle. Lisa watched James walk away. She lingered at the door and softly cursed at him. That damned, half-hearted James. He dared to meet another woman while he already had a wife. When she was done, her heart felt uncomfortable. Actually, Emily was his actual love. Was it not believed that the one not getting love was going to be the third party? She was a true third party. James genuinely left home and did not return that night. Lisa dimly heard James utter something about the villa near the bay, and envisioned him cuddling with Emily there. Meanwhile, in the villa at the bay, Emily put down her bag and gladly gazed at James. Thank you so much, James. If it wasn't for you, I truly wouldn't know what to do. James let the maid take in Emily's items while the two of them sat on the sofa. Emily, what exactly happened at home? Emily bit her bottom lip. It's nothing big. She glanced at the floor and looked pathetic. They weren't approving of us being together all along. Now that they know you're married, they are attempting to get me a boyfriend. I disagreed and we ended up arguing. James peered carefully at her as he crouched down beside her. Emily, she had suffered because of him. Emily raised her head. I am not getting a boyfriend. I want to wait for you, James. There's no happiness in marrying someone I don't love. I won't allow myself to suffer for the rest of my life. She was talking about herself. but at the same time, she was reminding him that he was not with someone he loved and had to face her daily. James grimaced with dissatisfaction. However, staring at Emily, he chose to contain his fury. Today, he was not in a good mood. He felt annoyed and his heart burned. Even Emily could tell, from the outset. James's attitude had been as frigid as ice, and his eyes were like daggers. His mouth had twisted downwards unhappily. However, Emily still felt fairly joyful. Perhaps he was not happy because of how her family treated her. She had always knew he was a strong-willed person. She assumed that he must have been jealous. Emily leaned against him and glanced at him. James, what am I supposed to do? My relatives will continue attempting to coerce me. I don't even want to go back home anymore these days. Who knows what kind of guy they'll try to put me up with? James turned to her and said frankly, "You can stay here as long as you want." Emily tugged at him and whispered, "Are you going to stay with me?" James sighed and said without hesitation, "Emily, that won't be right. I'm a married man." Emily's face sank. "But I'm scared to be alone here. I've already delegated 5 maids here. There's a cook in the kitchen and my security guards. Everything is secured. I won't allow anything happen here. You may rest assured, no matter how many people are here, they can't compare to you." Emily glanced at him. "I don't want to be alone here. I don't feel safe." However, James sat there and didn't say a word. Emily felt irritated and glanced at him. "Or you're thinking of going back to your pretty little wife. That's why you don't want to stay here." Pretty little wife? James's brows knotted again and his gaze flickered. He looked at Emily. "Forget it, I'll stay here." It was not that he had not remained outside his home before, but he had never stayed in the same room with her because of his sickness. He could not have physical touch with her. Emily was exhilarated. She instantly called for supper to be made. Her gorgeous face lit up. Seeing how pleased Emily was, James decided to go ahead and remain. He owed Emily too much, thus, a tiny matter like this making Emily happy also removed part of his guilt. Later, they ate their supper and returned to their various apartments. James was completely uninterested. Emily wanted to ask him over and see if she could have him stay in her room. However, he never gave her the opportunity to ask and returned to his own room. Emily could only stamp her foot and walk to her own room. James truly did not return home the whole night. Lisa went out to have her breakfast. There was only 1 plate of food on the table in the enormous hall. She felt moody, even though there was just 1 less person. And there were so many servants roaming around obliviously, the home suddenly felt empty to her, like something was missing. Soon enough, the employer called and excitedly told her about an advertising opportunity. She instantly rushed over. When she came, Olivia informed her all the specifics regarding the advertisement. There would be a lot of watchers with her endorsement. It would considerably enhance her appeal as well. However, she did not anticipate that this fantastic opportunity would lead her into her very first defamation plot. Chapter 60. He was slightly fed up with Emma. Lisa walked towards the endorsement company. Together with Olivia, Lisa walked while remarking, "It's my first time as an endorsement model. I didn't imagine that I would ever take an advertisement job." Olivia grinned and stared at her. "Now, you're someone with a piece of work also. This is your turn to rise. Stop believing that you're just a background actor. You're already an artist with some notoriety. You understand?" Lisa remarked. I'm still just a little unaccustomed to it. I feel like everything occurred so quickly, a few months ago." "I had nothing at all," Olivia responded. "This profession is precisely like that. You can get famous pretty rapidly as long as you can take the opportunity. However, you must be vigilant too. This is precisely the era when it's easiest to be silenced. If something pops up time and you haven't began to grow famous, the corporation won't waste so much money on saving you. You still don't have social connections of your own. Unlike artists who are already stable and can still gradually recover from blunders, if anything happens during this interval, there truly won't be any possibility for you to stand up again, understand?" Olivia spoke considerably more to Lisa because she had slowly grown to feel that Lisa was not so horrible. She also hoped that Lisa may continue a long time and become more and more popular. Hearing this, Lisa bowed her head seriously. "I understand." Following this, the procedure of signing the endorsement contract was fairly smooth. It was only when Lisa walked out that she coincidentally encountered Sarah, a now famous film star, outside. A queue of people scowled at Lisa and Olivia when they spotted them coming out as if they were burning with hate. Sarah had also just gained successful in the past 2 years, and her firm was fiercely advertising her. However, the two of them had never crossed paths at all, so Lisa was a little bewildered. Olivia pushed her along to leave the spot. Olivia responded, "Ignore her. This commercial was initially hers indeed, but the sponsorship business changed it to you at the last minute. That's why she's in a fit of anger," Lisa responded. "That means that I robbed her of her advertisement," Olivia answered. That's technically the case, but in this profession, there's no such thing as stealing roles. You can say that only actual capability talks. The sponsorship company took a liking to your ability to flourish. That's why they chose an artist who's rising. All right then. That night, Lisa followed Olivia to dine along with the advertising. It was vital to recognize their approval of her. In the car, Lisa called Olivia and asked her where they were to meet. Olivia said, "You go in first. It's room 302, I'll be there soon." Olivia was still in the thick of a traffic jam and was presently anxious. She put down the phone and looked in front again. Images of James on a state visit were shown on a giant screen. She could not help but gaze blankly. James stood straight, clad in a suit. On the TV, he appeared quite good-natured, yet his expression disguised as sternness. Olivia recalled the general view of many towards James. They stated that he was an iron-handed president who was adept in dealing with both external and internal political relations of the nation, thus he was entrenched deeply in the hearts of the people. She spaced out momentarily, but when she regained her senses, she hit head-on with the car in front of hers. She had caused a rear-ended collision. Damn it. Olivia cursed fiercely before swiftly jumping out of the car. Outside the meeting spot, Lisa made multiple calls to Olivia, but she did not answer. Left with little alternative, Lisa could only enter the private room, the number that Olivia had told her, on her own. However, when she opened the door to the room, she immediately saw the people within wobbling from side to side. They were either lying down or standing crookedly, and all of them looked pretty weird. However, it was evident that they were not the folks Lisa intended to meet tonight. Lisa was quickly dumbfounded. She turned around and was going to leave, but someone inside gripped her wrist forcefully. Outside, in the corridor that no one noticed, Sarah was clutching her phone with a bit of a cheeky smirk at the corners of her lips. She said into the phone, "I've arrived, Ethan. Thanks for telling me that she's here tonight. I'll absolutely make it so that she can't leave." Before Lisa could react, she heard the police barging in already. "All of you, freeze. Put down the drugs that are in your hands and stand against the wall." One by one. Drugs? Lisa began to glance around attentively. When she glanced at the unusual artifacts all over the room and those bizarre people, she finally understood. A shiver slowly began to radiate from the bottom of her heart. If an artist got engaged with drugs, what did he or she face? It was not like there were no examples before her. Nathan was presently in his office. Emily's abrupt call obviously disrupted his work once again. He felt a little resentful. Over the past 2 days, Emily had been chasing after him aggressively. She had already been a tremendous interruption to his work. Emily remarked, "Nathan, you're still not coming over to sleep tonight?" After the first day that he spent there, he felt a little uncomfortable. So, on the second day, he made an excuse that he was busy with work and did not go over again. But then, Emily began to phone persistently to ask him about his work concerns, making it a little difficult for him to fight her off. "I'm still a bit busy. Emily, if you feel bored, I can have Richard to send a car over to pick you up. You can go shopping. I've already directed someone to leave the car for your use. Otherwise, you might go overseas to shop around. You can take the family's airplane that's always available at home and fly over." "I don't want that, Nathan. What happened? Have you gotten bored of me? Did I grab onto you too tightly? Are you attempting to chase me away, Nathan?" Stroked his brow. "No, you're thinking too much." Richard was still waiting at the side with his hands hanging by his sides. Nathan waved at him and signaled for him to wait for a moment. He remarked to Emily over the phone, "I'm going out of town on an official business for a few days. Be obedient, Emily. When I'm done, I'll give you a call." Emily's spirits were slightly dampened. Hearing him say this, she could only Answer, all right then, I'm hanging up. Love you, Nathan. Emily could not press him to heart either. She was very scared that Nathan would be disgusted with her at this vital time now. However, she could not be too far away from him either, otherwise Nathan would surely get together with that little bitch. This frightened Emily considerably. To dot, she could only put down the phone and ponder viciously about what she should do to own him entirely. Nathan was truly going overseas. From the side, Richard watched Nathan put down the phone and add, "Sir, the airplane at the private airport has already been prepared. They are now coordinating the timing for takeoff with the National Flight Division. The plane can probably take off in approximately half an hour. Would you like to go to the airport now? All right. Make some preparations, and we'll head to the airport." Nathan stood up and departed. Richard recalled Lisa's matter. He assumed that Nathan had disregarded Lisa for quite a few days. "Sir, do we need to inform Madam?" Nathan's face clouded. "There's no need, Lisa. A few days had gone, but she had not phoned even once. She was genuinely performing her job and completing her responsibilities as a contractual wife. Meanwhile, at the Special Police Department, Lisa was being grilled at the Special Department because she was an artist. Just confess, Lisa. You're definitely no artist here, and now you're a criminal. This tactic won't work on us." The investigating officer stared at Lisa scornfully. He loathed these artists the most. Although they acted and looked lofty and mighty, they were all lowly rascals.